Workplace shooting sprees are unfortunately not rare events in the United States, but much less so in China, where access to firearms is far more restricted. That, however, didn't prevent a 62-year-old office manager at a Shanghai chemical plant from killing 6 people over the weekend, 5 of whom he shot to death. The victims were 4 factory employees, a cab driver and a military sentry. According to police, the suspect, Fan Jieming, first attacked a colleague in an argument over factory finances on Saturday evening, eventually beating him to death with a blunt instrument. He then collected an illegally held shotgun, which was stored in the factory dorm in Baoshan district, before taking an unlicensed cab to the other side of the city. There, Fan shot the driver dead and then drove back to Baoshan, where he shot dead a sentry on duty at a naval base near the factory. After that, he returned to the chemical plant, where he killed 3 more people, including the factory boss, before being overpowered and detained by police. The factory was apparently in financial trouble and had suspended production last month. Earlier this month, another killing spree targeting members of the public left 47 people dead when a man set fire to a tank of gasoline in a bus in the city of Xiamen. He left a note saying the attack was in revenge for the way society had treated him. Well, to get some reaction from Chinese net users to these 2 attacks on innocent people to settle perceived slights, let's now cross over to the newsroom and our researcher, Julia Liu. Well, this shooting in Shanghai may not be quite the same as that Xiamen case, Julia, but what they do have in common is that innocent bystanders were killed. So what sort of reactions do net users or have net users been giving to this?
Well, as you can imagine, there's a lot of condemnation of the callousness of the murders and despair over the senseless loss of human lives. Well, this remark from a poster on 163.com is fairly typical. Well, so ruthless and violent to shoot 6 people in total, the murderer should be punished severely to the full extent of the law. And this poster, Si on QQ.com, has a simple question. Well, whether it's burning victims in a bus or shooting them to death, why are people driven to such extremes? And another poster from Heilongjiang says, well, hurting innocent people is an expression of a cowardice, not a sign of courage. However, there are also some net users like this anonymous poster from Jiangsu who seem to find some understanding for fun. 62 years is old enough to retire and enjoy life. Perhaps he had to continue working just to earn a living. We really need to look at the real-life situation of those who struggle at the lower levels of society. And this poster adds, well, the murderer's resentment led to his risking danger in desperation. And 好大的熊熊 has a warning saying, well, why would a person who could be a grandfather choose to kill people instead of enjoying himself with his family? This cannot have been triggered by some insignificant disagreement. Well, he must already have seen no way out of a blind alley. If similar problems are not solved, we may see more people killed.
Okay, Julia, now I've said the cases are somewhat different, but it seems many net users are linking these killings to the Xiamen bus arson case, especially regarding the 2 perpetrators seeming desperation and their grudges against society, or in one case against their fellow workers.
Yeah, sure, net users certainly see both incidents as having an element of anti-socialism at their center. And the Quanjing on Sina.com.cn views other cases are expressions of this sense of frustration and hopelessness that affects some people in today's China. The privileged class has so much power and wealth that what's left over for ordinary people in the lower classes is reduced dramatically. Fighting for the limited space and resources left, relations between individuals in these groups are tense, and the tension can even lead to fatal consequences. While this situation exists in many sectors, such as housing, healthcare, and pensions. Because he failed to get his pension, Chen Shuizong set fire to a bus in Xiamen and killed dozens of ordinary people like him. And in the Shanghai shooting case, a closed and heavily in-debt factory was the direct cause. However, the bigger picture is that state-owned and monopoly enterprises claw in fat profits, while medium and small enterprises can't survive. And for Liu Xuesong, on the same side, social injustice does exist, but this doesn't justify sympathy for such crimes. Compassion for the weak should not go so far as to excuse the committing of crimes. And Ban Tu Ban Lu from Guangdong agrees. Whatever the reasons, murderers have no right to take other people's lives. I feel sorry for net users who lose their moral compass to sympathize with criminals, but I also feel sorry for the government, as there are so many dissatisfied under its rule.
Okay then, well, let's ask the question so often asked in the aftermath of such tragedies. What, if anything, can be done to reduce the chances of a repetition?
Well, firstly, there are plenty who advise increasing security measures overall. For example, this poster on 163.com says, well, I wish the public security department would crack down on illegal possession of guns. And Wang Zhongchao 12 also feels that security needs to be beefed up at all levels. I can't believe that a military sentry guarding barracks was so easily killed. How safe does that make our country? And this poster, Mu Xiang Huangshi, feels that solving financial problems at an early stage might help. While financial disputes are quite a common social phenomenon, which could actually be solved using normal approaches. Well, 黑白年代 also wants tighter security and tighter controls on the public. Murder and arson are a stain on our whole society, and anybody could be a potential victim. Maintaining a stable social order will ensure the interests of all citizens. And Peng Bin from Hubei says violent crimes committed by middle-aged and elderly people need to be the focus of more attention. The authorities need to carry out in-depth research on middle-aged and elderly criminals' motives and mentality, and accordingly implement feasible precautions. Well, this poster, 爱吃锅贴的吴胖子 on Weibo.com believes improvement of China's social system is the fundamental solution. Government management always focuses on the macro level and can hardly meet all the needs of individuals. While at the same time, our social organizations are not strong enough to solve these problems. Well, this means that personal problems can become magnified with tragic results. And finally, we have got this poster who has this reflection. The individual's happiness is the basis of social stability, not the other way around.
Okay, thanks for that, Julia. And that was China Take researcher Julia Liu with online reaction to the killing of 6 people in Shanghai during a shooting spree there over the weekend. Next up on China Take, some of the top trending phrases on China's most popular search engines.